Well, this is something kind of different. I just finished my last bike for the summer. I'm going to be taking some time off here until fall when I'll resume production. I'm working on a couple things here. This is one of my only prototypes that I have left. This is the second one I did back in 2009 or 10. 2010 I did this one. So 10 years ago. And the first prototype is gone and the third prototype is gone. This is the only one I have left, so I've kind of left it in its native state. It's kind of crude and not the best looking, but it proved the point that the geometry and everything I came up with actually does work. And it's kind of nice to have something like this to compare to the current models, which have gone through a lot of transformations, a lot of changes cosmetically and otherwise. But the geometry and the basic layout of the suspension and everything is technically the same. I haven't really changed a lot. And this bike drives and handles as well as the brand new ones I'm doing now, which I think is a pretty good testimony to how well this machine was developed at its time. Now, some of the things that are kind of different, let me get the camera over here, is suspension wise, you can see that the shock is hooked to the upper A-arm, and I'm using ATV A-arms on this one with the ball joints. The current models, I actually use a automotive ball joint and I build my own A-arms, and the shock is placed on the lower A-arm instead of the upper one, which makes the body work quite a bit easier. Mechanically, there's no difference. You know, there's always the visual and then there's the mechanical. Visually this is quite different, but mechanically it's exactly the same as what I'm using now. Same caster, same camber, you know, all those aspects are the same. I'm using the Mustang rotors and spindles on this one, along with what I'm currently doing, and the Chevy S10 brake calipers. So really, mechanically, it's exactly the same as what I'm using now. The nose is quite a bit longer on this one. I have shrunk that back about 7 inches from where this one is. The hood layout, everything different. The body panels are different. But, you know, like I say, it's excellent machine. And one of the reasons I kept this one is because it's a Valkyrie, which in my opinion is probably the best overall cruiser ever built. And anybody who owns one of these or has owned one will probably agree. It's just a marvelous machine. This thing runs so great. It's got 179,000 miles on it now. Doesn't use any oil, runs great. I've never had a mechanical issue with it except for carburetors. And it's in the shop right now because this is the first time I'm taking it out this summer, and it's already almost mid-August. I haven't been able to get around to it, and that's why I'm taking some time off, so I can get some of this stuff done. I got to pull the carbs off and rebuild them. They're leaking fuel. The junction tubes between the carburetors, there's an O-ring in there, and those O-rings go bad, and then they start leaking fuel. And the only way to fix it, you got to rip the carburetors out and rebuild them. And so I bought a kit. I'm going to completely overhaul the carburetors. It sounds like a big deal. It's actually a slam dunk. I've had those carbs out a couple times. I can have them out of there in 45 minutes, so it's going to be a pretty easy deal. So I'm going to get this guy all done so I could drive it this summer. Last year I put about 10,000 miles on it, mostly gravel. As you can see, it's dirty, and it normally is dirty because this one goes on the gravel a lot. And that's another reason I'm really not going to redo it and upgrade it to current standards, because it's I think it's a good testimony to the development, and it's also so functional as is. The other thing I've got going is the other prototype, which is right here. And this is a work in progress. I just added the batteries. As you can see, I added 7 more batteries. What I did is I bought 2 of these things, and the battery pack right there is the factory original one, and then I bought another bike and I pulled all the batteries out of that one and stuck them in here, which is quite a deal. So you can see the entire front is full of batteries, and I actually have applied for the patent on this. This is what I call the Zener-ecite, and the reason I came up with this idea is because the limiting factor on a electric motorcycle is real estate. You only have that much room for batteries, that's it. And with the trike, you got the whole front there, so you can actually double your capacity, which is what I did here. And on the electric bikes, this is a 2013 Bramo, is what the base machine is. The battery technology is pretty old on this. If I went with new batteries, I could probably honestly get, I'd say somewhere between 180 to 200 miles per charge, maybe more. With this current setup, I'll be lucky to do 120 because these are old batteries, but I want to prove the concept that adding the extra batteries will double the range. Plus it's a reverse trike, so it's very sporty. This is a sport bike, and it drives very sporty. It'll out-handle, a normal trike. And I drove this as two wheels for about a week and a half or so, and I loved it. It's just a wonderful machine, so easy to drive. And when I triked it out, it's even better because I can take it places where I wouldn't drive before. So it's really worked out so well so far. And I'm going to go to a whole new paint scheme. It's going to be black and red, and I've got some ideas. It's actually going to kind of mimic my very first prototype, which was the Stealth 11, and it was black and stealthy looking, and this one's going to be similar. And I'm even thinking about going flat black on this one with some accents in red. So we'll see how that works out when I get to the body panels. But so I got two of the prototypes in here, and I'll be working on that for the next week or so and see what kind of progress I can make on it.